Hello and welcome. If I were to ask you to name the best family SUV available for, say, $750,000 or less, you'd probably name a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. But if you ask the founder of Chinese startup Li Auto, he'd say it's this, the all-new Li L9. That's right, the founder of this company says that this car, a 3-row extended range EV, is the best family SUV available for less than $750,000 US. That's a bold claim, made even bolder by the fact that this car costs only $70,000 US. Here's the thing, I spent a little bit of time with it today, and I think he might have a point.
With hands-on test drives and reviews of exciting Chinese market vehicles, Wheelsboy is the #1 source for China auto insights. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Li has not achieved the same level of global recognition as other US-listed Chinese startups like NIO or XPeng, in part because they haven't begun selling cars abroad and probably because they sell extended-range EVs instead of pure electrics. Still, their first model, the Li 1, was a major sales success here in China, and we gave it a positive review when we drove it.
There's so much to talk about when it comes to this car that we're simply not going to be able to get to everything today. The good news is that we will be getting one of these for a full review sometime later this year, probably within the next couple of months. So please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can be sure to see our full review, including test drive, very soon. Light bars like this are nothing new in modern automotive design, but the one in the L9 is quite unique in that it is a single unbroken piece that stretches more than 2 meters in length. It's also, if you look closely, a little bit 3D, kind of floating over the front bumper. If you follow the light bar to its conclusion, you will find this small light here on the end. Now, American viewers, don't get too excited because this amber color doesn't indicate the car will be sold in the United States. It does, however, have a very interesting function, and that is when you activate the self-park function, the color changes from amber to this greenish blue color. You'll also notice that it lights up down here below the headlight as well as on the rear. This is to indicate to surrounding pedestrians and other drivers that this car's self-parking function is active, meaning the car is in control rather than the driver. Apparently, Chinese regulators are considering making a rule in which cars with ADAS systems would be required to have a light like this that turns on and off when the system is activated. Currently, it is only on when this car's self-parking function is active. However, Li Auto says that in future, if regulations change, they could make it so that it turns on when the car's ADAS system is turned on.
The L9's ADAS system is called AD Max and can operate purely using the 11 HD cameras that are spread around the car. There is also a LiDAR system above the windshield, but Li says that will only be used as a backup for when the cameras cannot function optimally, such as in heavy rain, heavy snow, or harsh sunlight conditions. The side profile of the L9 is very traditional, with smooth surfacing and a very straight and upright greenhouse. There's none of the sloping roofline you see on some SUVs. The rear design is equally simple, with a single LED strip for a taillight.
Hands-free tailgates are of course nothing new, but the one in the L9 is a little bit different. Instead of placing the sensor underneath the rear bumper, where often it's kind of hard to find, and once you finally do open it, you're in the way of the door, they chose to place it here, behind the rear wheel. If we just do that, it opens very consistently because it's much easier to find, and once you open it, you're not in the way of the door. Before we jump inside the Li 9, I should mention that just like the Li 1, their first model, there is only one trim level available for this car. That means everything that we discussed today, both inside and out, can be considered a standard feature. The only options available are differences in wheel design and exterior color. The front row of the L9 seems to come with pairs of everything, starting with two 15.7-inch OLED 3K displays, which Li says are currently the thinnest available on the market at only 4 millimeters in thickness. It also has very fast refresh rates due to the fact that it has two Qualcomm Snapdragon 8155 processors. Now, if you notice, the media in the video loads very quickly, and that's because it has two SIM cards, one from China Mobile, one from China Unicom. By having two different telecom providers, the idea is that no matter where you go, you're probably going to have a good 5G signal. And finally, two wireless charging pads. The driver of the L9 receives information via two different displays. The first is a HUD or heads-up display here, which displays more dynamic information, things like navigation prompts, ADAS settings, or speed limits for the current road you're on. Down here you have a second screen, which is a small touch screen mounted to the top of the steering wheel. It has more passive information, things like your current electric and petrol range, as well as your driving mode. Voice and gesture controls are nothing new in cars these days. However, we've never seen them combined in quite the way that Li does it. By issuing voice commands and gesturing at the same time, you can do stuff like this. 理想同学，
主驾你好，
把这个打开。
正在拉开前遮阳帘，
理想同学，
在呢，
把这个关掉。
主驾车窗正在上升，注意哦。
This function is also available for second-row passengers as well. Lee says it was designed to make things easier for both children and older passengers because it doesn't require complex voice commands. Of course, there are some safety issues with this, like having a child be able to open a door with words and gestures at highway speeds. However, it is possible to turn off the individual microphones for each of the seats in this car, which would make it safer. This is arguably the most comfortable seat in this car because it has a folding tray table as well as you can see, an adjustable leg rest. Comfort, however, is not an issue in any of the seats in this car. There is cooled, heating, and massage function in both the first and second row, and heating in the back. Here between the second row seats, you will find a storage compartment, but it's not just a storage compartment. It's also a fridge that can hold up to 10 soda cans or 1 wine bottle and keep them between 0 and 7 degrees Celsius. But it's also not just a fridge either, because it can be used to heat things as well and keep them between 35 and 50 degrees Celsius. Now, if you're thinking, what happens if I put my lunch in here and then forget about it and lock the car and leave? Well, it will keep going for 24 hours. 理想同学，
你好，
把这个关掉。
Rear occupants can combine voice and gesture controls just like those in the front seats.
把这个关掉。 把屏幕关掉。
But they can also use gesture controls to operate the rear entertainment screen. That starts by opening it with the flick of a wrist. Then you can use your hand much like a mouse to scroll, select content, pause, fast forward, and more. Of course, you can also use it as a touchscreen as well.
Once you've selected your media, you can enjoy it using the 21-speaker, 2,160-watt sound system with Dolby 7.3.4 surround sound. Not only that, but the seats have built-in vibration that goes along with whatever you're watching, like some sort of 5D theater experience. It does not, however, have one of those things that sprays water at your face, so I'm going to have to deduct points. Hopefully they'll add that in their next model. You may have noticed from the outside that this is a big car, measuring more than 5.2 meters in length. That's the same length as a Mercedes-Benz GLS and the same wheelbase as a BMW X7. Both cars are identified as competitors to this one. You may be wondering, what's third row space like? Let's ask my rather tall cameraman. Gert, how does it feel?
It's pretty good, very plush and extremely comfortable. Yeah, I could see myself enjoying a long ride over here.
There you go.
Yeah. And plus, what's even more awesome is that I can actually control the screen from the third row.
Oh.
Yeah.
While we can't speak to how the L9 drives quite yet, we do know that it has a 1.5-liter 4-cylinder range extender that charges a 44.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That pack feeds front and rear-mounted motors that make a combined 330 kilowatts and 620 newton-meters of torque. That's 449 horsepower and 459 pound-feet. Pure electric range is 180 kilometers on the WLTC cycle.
Lee says the deliveries of the L9 will begin in August of this year, and you had better believe we are going to be borrowing a car for a full review as soon as possible, because there's a ton that we just weren't able to get to for today's video. That means you need to like, subscribe, and most importantly, hit that notification bell so you'll see when our video debuts. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, links in the description below.